Hi, my name is Maggie Jordan. I'm the Visual Arts Coordinator for the City of North Charleston's Cultural Arts Department. I'm here to welcome you to the 14th Annual African American Fiber Art Exhibit titled SANKOFA. SANKOFA this year consists of 37 fiber artists working across the country, and they represent 15 different states. This exhibition is a long-standing component of the North Charleston's Arts Fest. We are so excited to be able to show you this exhibit, which was originally slated for 2020. The exhibit is on view through June 25th, 2021 on all 3 floors of North Charleston City Hall. There's free admission and free parking. And to learn more about the exhibit, please visit our website at www.northcharlestonartsfest.com. Here to talk about the exhibition's theme, as well as some of the pieces that are in the show, is the exhibition's curator, Cookie Washington.
Welcome to SANKOFA. This is the 14th Annual African American Fiber Arts Exhibition on view here at the beautiful North Charleston City Hall. This year's theme was inspired by the quote from the enslaved prince Sinkang. I will call into the past, far back into the beginning of time, and beg the ancestors to come to me and help me at the judgment. I will reach back and draw them into me, and they must come, for at this moment, I am the whole reason that they have existed at all. The meaning of SANKOFA symbol is reach back and get it, or look into the past to understand the present. I asked the artists of SANKOFA to include one of the 2 SANKOFA symbols in their works. It's typically represented in one of 2 forms. One version shows a bird with its head turned backwards, placing an egg onto its back. The other shows a heart with ornate endings. The SANKOFA is one of the most recognized of the Adinkra symbols. Adinkra symbols were originally created by the king of the Bono people of Ghana during the 1800s. He originally created or designed these symbols and then named them after himself, Adinkra. The Adinkra symbols express deeply symbolic proverbs related to life, death, wisdom, and human behavior. Interestingly, research shows that these symbols made their way onto the designs found on wrought iron gates and fences created by enslaved people from West Africa who worked as blacksmiths in Charleston, New Orleans, and other cities throughout the United States. As you view the exhibit, see if you can spy the SANKOFA symbol in each piece. This quilt is called We Will Survive, and it's by Jan Holland of Rex, Georgia. Jan has been in our show many times, and we look forward to her beautiful artwork every single year. This piece is by a new artist for us. Her name is Karen Von Phul. She's from Denver, Colorado, and this piece is called Roots. It's very interesting because it's brass wire on a fiber canvas. This piece is called Look Back and Don't Forget. It's by Carel Simmons of Soto, Texas. This is Carel's first entry into our quilt show. This beautiful piece is called Wisdom. It's by Janette Holland of Suffolk, Virginia. This is called thread painting. It's a million beautiful stitches. It's also using a technique called trapunto. And this gentleman's eyes tend to follow you It's so engaging, it really draws you in. It's one of my favorite pieces in the show. This quilt is called The Negro Mother. It's by Cookie Washington. Cookie's used beads and shells, and this is a tribute to African and African American mothers because we hold the birth of the earth in our wombs. This quilt is called Regal Perspective. It's by Janette, Holland. She has used trapunto and 3D quilting on this piece. It's absolutely fabulous. Janette's been on our show, I believe, for the last 7 years, and we're always honored to have her. This year's theme, SANKOFA, which means go back and get it while moving forward, really resonated with our artist. We know that we want to honor our ancestors back from the beginning of time, and we know that one day we will be ancestors, so we would like to leave an important legacy for our children so that they will remember and honor us when the time comes. This piece by Joyce Morrow Jones is one of the more interesting pieces we have in our show. This is a painted canvas, painted by the artist, and a three-dimensional doll that also uses real, what we call weaving here in the African American community. And her SANKOFA bird is all woven out of the hair. This piece by Tony Williams of Cleveland, Ohio is called Loving SANKOFA. Tony used several interesting techniques in his quilt. He is an indigo artist, so this is all indigo dyed cotton fabric. He used cowrie shells, which we all tend to really love to use in our work. He used Bantu knots for the hair, and his character is embracing the SANKOFA bird. Tony's been in our show for about the past 5 years, and we always enjoy having his work. This piece is called Amanda Speaks by Jan Hollins of Rex, Georgia. This piece is so beautiful and interesting. It really honors our next generation of ancestors. Amanda Gorman spoke beautifully at President Biden's inauguration, and we were thrilled. Jan Holland's piece is wonderful. Please notice the SANKOFA bird is on the handbag that she's carrying. This beautiful piece is called Looking Up by Caroline Jenkins of Summerville, South Carolina. Please notice the little girl is looking up at the tree, which symbolizes roots, connection, and the mother is gently looking over her and guiding her. This is called Headlines by Linda Martin. This piece is so engaging, and one of the things that we really find interesting about this piece is that you really have to go deep and look for the SANKOFA bird in this. Headlines could mean the young girl is getting her hair braided. It could be talking about the headlines of what's going on in the news today concerning African Americans. It could be talking about the headlines of the past, or what headlines will we be making in the future. This piece is really wonderful and engaging, and I'm very proud to have it in the show. This piece is called Dream, Achieve, Inspire. This is by Renee Fleuranges-Valdes of North Charleston, South Carolina. This piece is so engaging. It has a 3D element, it has several color changes, and if you look closely, you can clearly see the Sankofa heart at the very top, but if you notice, there are two other hearts that ascend up, and the angels guide and protect the children of the village. And the children are depicted by their Sankofas. They are learning to go back and get it. This quilt is by me, and this quilt is a tribute to my grandmother and grandfather, James and Willie White. This quilt is called My Ancestors' Acres Stolen, Seeking Return. Many African American farmers were cheated out of their land, or they were not given the kind of grants that Caucasian farmers were given so that we could preserve our land, and so we lost it. I used on my quilt the quote that inspired me to pick the theme of Sankofa this year. I will call my ancestors into the past, far back to the beginning of time, and beg them to come and help me. And they must come, for at this moment, I am the entire reason they existed at all. The 4 crops that I put the names of in the corners are the 4 crops that built America on the backs of my ancestors. This piece is called Great Grandma Kate. It's by Veronica Mays, and this piece reminds us all of our beautiful grandmothers. And her Sankofa piece is just gently walking out of the frame. This is our only triptych quilt in the show. It is called An America That Looks Away by Aurora Clay of California. This has so many interesting technical elements in it. It is also just really an engaging theme for this year. There's patchwork quilting in it, there's thread embroidery, there's painting, there's 3-dimensional elements in it. And the words are so meaningful in each of the pieces. A triptych is done when you have a lot to say that's too big for one single piece. Aurora did a fabulous job this year. This is her 5th entry into our show. This piece is called Lady Liberty. It's by Linda Asbury. And it's kind of a play on liberty, because we as African Americans are sometimes struggling with the idea of liberty and justice for ourselves. So she stands proudly holding up Sankofa, praying for justice, praying for liberty, invoking the ancestors to come and help us. The dress is made of probably 25 beautiful fabrics, and it shows such movement. And my favorite element in this quilt is the secret peacock. This piece is called The Lord's Prayer, which is a Gullah way of saying the Lord's Prayer. It's by Miss Lillie Singleton of Walterboro, South Carolina. This is Miss Lillie's first year entering our show, and her work is so remarkably beautiful. We took 3 of her pieces this year. I'd like to point out that this is all 3-dimensional work. The head wrap is 3-dimensional, and she's embroidered by hand the words of the Lord's Prayer. This is Gumbo Ladies No. 5 by Aisha Lumumba of Georgia. She's celebrating our rich agricultural heritage, and the SANKOFA birds are encouraging us to look backwards and embrace that tradition. This is all hand quilted, and the head wraps are all, again, 3-dimensional. Aisha Lumumba has been in every one of our shows for the entire 14 years, and we're honored to have her. This piece is called Mariner's Compass by Stephanie Hobson of Colorado. This is Stephanie's first year in our show. We are thrilled to have her. A Mariner's Compass is a very complex pattern to execute, and I'd like to point out that each one of these ladies is on point, and in the corners, there's a lady in each one of the corners looking towards the Mariner's Compass in the center. And here is her SANKOFA bird. This is Spoken Word by Cassandra Allen. Cassandra Allen has been in our show for over 10 years. Her work is distinctive and beautiful, and as you look at this piece, you can imagine that the elders are speaking to the young ones and teaching them the lessons of life. This quilt is vibrant and beautiful. It's hand and machine quilted. This quilt is called African Proverbs by Miss Lillie Singleton. This is a crazy patchwork quilt. It includes several Ndinkra symbols, and it's absolutely beautiful. Please notice the stitching with the kente cloth that spell out the words African Proverbs. This piece is called Passing the Baton by Cassandra Allen. Notice the runner passing the baton to the person in front of her, and I love that the SANKOFA bird is resting on the arm of the other relay runner. She encourages us to dream and to have faith and to pray for equality. This piece is by Lillie Singleton. It is a beautiful quilt that celebrates family supper time. Again, the language is Gullah, and it is hand embroidered onto the quilt. I love the cook stove, the food that is on the table, and the SANKOFA symbol that is here in the corner. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you next year at our 15th annual African American Fiber Arts Exhibition.